What was the big article? I had a very good article on you. Was that
Time.
Time magazine?
Yes.
Cover.
That's kind of the culmination of a nice thing to have the cover on Time, isn't it?
It certainly was.
You try to be real cool. I know when they profiled me a few years ago on Time, and you try to be like, well, it's a cover, but secretly inside.
Well,
You're saying, hey, that's not bad.
I wasn't uptight because I don't have anything I want to hide. I think that the story of how my success has come about has been a beautiful story. Yeah. And I think it's an American story. Yeah. And I want people to know. So I've told my story, and I'm very pleased. And the American public has been fantastic to me.
All right.
Really?
Now, we were talking about Crazy George. And you two guys are going to work together. We can't do it in this half hour because it takes about 8, 9.
Yes.
Or we want to give you time to do your thing, stretch out, and wait for the big laughs.
Yeah.
That's the reason we didn't have the time here. We left time for the laughs in the sketch. Normally it would have been at 12:30 by now, but just a little more time than we thought. Who's got an album? I guess we're going to talk about this later?
Yes, George's new album, FM and AM.
Yeah. This is not the first thing he's recorded, I know, because he came out with an album.
No, this is the second album that he's had. This is 4 years later.
Yeah.
And it's on Little David Records, which is my label.
That sounds familiar.
That's right. That's my label. And it's a gas. And I think it's great because there's such a difficulty with comics in explaining the difference in your views to someone who can't really understand, who might be the executive of a record company. With George and I, there's George is different. He writes his own material, and I can understand his creativeness, and my manager, Monty K. can. And this was an opportunity for George to feel freer as an artist, and for me to be a part of maybe in some way helping a guy that I admire.
Crazy. Let's get him out here. George Carlin.
Hey, ¿qué pasa?
How you doing tonight?
What do you say? Okay. Feeling good. Feeling all right.
Yeah. We're going to have to do the other piece with you and Flip around the corner,
Sure
as
enough,
they say,
okay.
because we didn't have enough time here.
Yeah.
I was listening to this the other day.
Great,
Crazy.
good.
You did this down to... Is this one you did down in Washington? At the, the cellar door?
Right.
Got some crazy things in here.
It's, the nice thing is that, and the thing we were talking about having a little freedom to do what you want on it. 4 years ago, I did the only other album I did, and it was on RCA. Mm. And they're a lot more conservative, first of all, but also it was 4 years ago. And my birth control routine, they wouldn't allow it on an album.
And on this album, George has the baby.
Right.
We're progressing. We're progressing.
It's gone so far that I was able to do the birth control thing on your television show last month, but not on an album 4 years ago.
That's incredible. I don't realize how fast
That's what makes me happy about the album, is that it really is an honest, it's everything I have to tell right now, or about 6 months ago.
One piece you have in here that kills me, and I guess there are lots of Sullivan stories. Everybody, all comedians like Sullivan, because first of all, he's a good audience, and everybody does him. But you do a bit in here. I'm going to ask you to do a little bit of it here, because as you say, it's not how well you do Sullivan. Every guy at a party does Sullivan, right?
Right. It's Ed Sullivan.
You say big shoe, and everybody says, oh, gee, that's wonderful. But
it's taking the place of the lampshade at parties for men, the Ed Sullivan impression. The idea being that everyone can do Ed Sullivan, even agents and managers can do him now. And I'm sure that somewhere in the world there's a bear that can do this.
And a good one.
Yeah, just from being on the show and watching Ed from the wings. My idea is that it's easy to do a good Ed Sullivan by not worrying so much about the voice or the mannerisms. A lot of people waste time on the voice.
Well, they get this and they have to do all that. That means nothing.
That's the easiest part of it. The really hard part is to have crazy acts. The stranger the acts are you introduce, the better your Ed Sullivan will be, or seem, anyway. Now, radio our show just after Connie Francis and her tribute to former Newark Mayor Hugh Addonizio. Just after the Waltzing Mice and the Maori Fire Eaters. And immediately following, or is that just after? During, the entire female population of Guadalajara will run out on our stage and yell out their brassiere sizes. Now that I hear myself say them, there are even crazier things you can imagine than that. I mean, the ultimate Ed Sullivan act to me was something like the Bronze Age. And maybe insert. I often wanted to see them just sand the stage there and just varnish it one week for a whole hour. You know,
Right here, they're varnishing the stage.
They did everything else. Yeah.
He's crazy. So where are you working now? College, you like college days, the concerts?
Yeah, that's where I tried to change my direction to, and I have been able to do it thanks to the exposure on both of your shows, by the way. The album's just coming out now, and that's going to help me, too. But this past year, and trying to find, those college and coffee house dates, being on Flip's show and yours has really helped, and that's all I do now.
That's great. Could we do a little commercial here, then we'll come back? You guys are going to do a little newscast or something tonight?
Yeah.
Bring us the latest things that's going on?
Yes.
All righty. Hold up my beer. We'll be right back after this word from Budweiser, the king of beers. We are back now with Flip and George, and Susan St. James will join us. All right, what are you guys going to do?
Well, there's been such a fine response to our news, that segment that we've done on the show, that George and I worked out a little news segment we'd like to do.
You might call it the best of the news, which is impossible to think of even, isn't it?
Yes.
It's a little grim, isn't it? But
Take a shot at it.
here are Flip and George and the best of the news.
Well, good evening. It's 8 o'clock in Los Angeles. It's 9 o'clock in Denver. It's 10 o'clock in Chicago. In Newark, it's 4:42. Time for the 11 o'clock report. Dan Wolf here.
Howard Mann here with the Wolfman Report. For a few items on the human interest side of the news, here's a great story from New York. Friends, New York does have a heart. 3 children today witnessed the miracle in Harlem. They saw the garbage collected. And we also would like to take a moment here to pay a salute to gutsy little Chuck Yabaranowitzki, the 98-pound quarterback who yesterday played his first game against the Green Bay Packers. In lieu of flowers, his family requests that donations be sent. Friends, there was another stick-up today at Mom's Barbecue Palace. The hold-up man made the customers strip naked and lie on the floor. The burglary wasn't reported for 3 days. Over to you, Dan.
Okay. Thank you, Howie. The San Diego freeway was the scene of a freak accident today as 3 freaks in a camper crashed into 6 freaks in a van. And the Nobel Prize in Mathematics has been won by a California professor who has discovered a new number. The number is Bleen, which he says belongs between 6 and 7. South Vietnamese President Thieu has announced today he is entering the Florida primary as a Republican. He feels that Vietnam should not be an issue. Claims he inherited it from President Johnson. On the medical front, researchers have discovered a new disease which has no symptoms. It is impossible to detect, and there's no known cure for it. Fortunately, it's confined to New Jersey. Take it away, Howie.
Okay, this is Howie here. We'd like to give you a few movie reviews of the past picture season, we suppose we'd say that.
Well, that'll be fine. That'll be just fine, Howie.
My vote for the best picture of 1971 goes to Carnal Knowledge, a movie that I personally rated G. In that movie, Anne Margaret certainly showed us a thing or two. And proved once and for all she's not just a pretty face. We have another review here regarding the new movie Willard. The movie Willard is not doing well in ghetto theaters. Patrons say if they want to see rats, they can stay at home. And here's an item out of the Miami International Airport. A man was arrested today at Miami International Airport for trying to fly Betty. Betty's husband said he would prefer charges. Over to you, Dan.
Well, thank you. A group of California holy men has formed a new religion which teaches that when you die, your soul goes to a car wash in Bakersfield. Also on the parapsychological beat, it was discovered today that famed medium Edgar Casey was not really a medium after all. His family claims he was an extra large. And in Washington today, consumer advocate Ralph Nader announced that the glue on postage stamps causes air sickness in chickens. And famed television announcer Charlie the Tuna was found dead today of mercury poisoning. Sorry, Charlie. Good news from the Far East. No one was killed in Vietnam this week. However, 3 people died of old age at the Paris peace talks. Now back to you, Howie.
There's nothing, friends, like a story that touches the heart. And this evening we have for you just such a story. Mary Brown, the mother of 12 children, and Charles Johnson, the father of 14 children, were married today. It was the first marriage for each. Police today arrested George Whittington for stealing a new Cadillac from a downtown car lot. When apprehended, Whittington said the car didn't have a license, so he assumed it didn't belong to anyone. The judge assumed that Whittington wouldn't mind 90 days. And also, we have another item. Yes, we do. It's somewhere on here. We're looking for it. Today, George Whittington, who keeps popping up in the news here, was awarded $50,000 for a severe case of athlete's foot. Mr. Whittington's head was completely bandaged, which is where the athlete kicked him. And we also have a late flash. A 101-year-old man, Count Greg Olabesi, was married today to a 19-year-old lady, Lolita Thompson. After the ceremony, he died when struck by a piece of rice. Now, friends, we'd like to turn you over to our hippy-dippy weatherman, Al Sleet.
Hey, baby, what's happening? ¿Qué pasa? Sleet here, Yippy-Dippy Weatherman, brought to you by Parsons Pest Control. Do you have termites, water bugs, and roaches? Parsons will get rid of the termites and water bugs and help you smoke the roaches. Tonight's forecast, dark. Continued mostly dark tonight, turning to widely scattered light in the morning. So long, back to you, Howie.
And now, friends, it's time for the War Scoreboard, brought to you as a public service by men of goodwill everywhere.
The War Scoreboard is the only way to keep track of how you folks are treating one another. 8 civil wars,
6 outside aggressions,
6 internal upheavals,
10 counterinsurgencies,
21 acts of sabotage,
30 warlike acts,
906 hostile
10
incidents,
arms races,
18 deliberate provocations,
61 threats to national security,
9 dangerous escalations,
2 military confrontations,
62 heightenings of tension,
24 heated exchanges,
12 belligerent moves,
17 reprisals,
3 powder kegs,
and 2 tinder boxes.
and an ultimatum.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. We'll return after this message from one of our sponsors.